Hey Lan, hi folks, it's Lev. Welcome back to another video. For those of you who are new, I use he and pronouns. It feels like, I don't know the last time I filmed a YouTube video. It was probably early Jan. Yes. It feels weird because like last year and the year before that, I was filming videos a lot more consecutively, if that makes sense. Like there were periods where I just kept filming videos consistently, and then there are periods where I just go on a break and I do other stuff like music, and I don't film YouTube videos, and then I get back into filming YouTube videos. It's just like some rolling at the moment. Life's been a bit chaotic. Been working through a few things, but this video idea is something I've had in my mind for a few weeks now, and it's about time I made a video about it. And it's about building momentum and building habits in a way, and basically taking action to create change in ways which improve our lives and whatever is meaningful for us. Like, yeah, creating change through action and building momentum is the topic of this video. So I guess in general, getting started with something, it could be a project, it could be volunteering work, it could be making new friends, it could be literally anything. For me, I find starting is usually the hardest part because I had a lot of anxieties and fears around what if it doesn't go the way I want it? What if I'm not good enough? What if people don't like me? What if I become a ridicule? It's like a lot of what ifs. There's a lot of uncertainty, and that makes a lot of sense that if there's something that we don't know about and we don't really have the answers to, we don't have much experience with, there's going to be some level of anxiety, nerves there, because we're dealing with the unknown, and the unknown can be scary because we don't know what we're dealing with. And I completely, it's like good, I was great, I was starting great, and then I lost my spiel. That happens. Wait. And the other part of sometimes getting started for me or continuing to do something is like I start well and then I lose track of it. As in, example, workout, try to work every day, and then I do 1, 2, 3 days well, like consistently, and then and then I don't do the 4th day, and then I lose momentum basically. And then it can be hard to get back into rhythm. It's like I lose rhythm, and then getting back on rhythm is hard. And another reason I find that challenging at times is because I procrastinate, and yes, I procrastinate, or I just like find it hard to physically bring myself up to do it. But then once I actually start doing it, I'm like, I should have started this, I could have started this sooner, or I could have done this sooner. Like it's usually like the act of like physically starting is like the biggest barrier for me. It's like actually just doing it, because once I start, I don't want to stop. Once I start, I get in rhythm, I enjoy it, then I just keep going from there. Sometimes though, I have really unrealistic expectation, or I set my expectations bar way too high, and then I procrastinate because I'm like, it's too much work, it's way too hard, or it's too tedious, I don't have the energy for it, I don't have the spoons for it. And then I end up not doing it, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I'll start tomorrow, and then I end up not doing it tomorrow, and then it just snowballs from there, and I don't do it for like weeks. It happens. And that's what I want to talk about today, like things that I found helpful and my own experiences with starting with anything or taking action. Again, like I said at the start of the video, it could be anything. It could be starting a project, doing something you've always wanted to do but never really felt comfortable with, or never brought yourself up to do it. Or it could be going to make new friends, trying a new activity, saying yes to something that you usually say no to. Could be anything. So one thing I find works well for me, which I keep forgetting to implement, it's like I remember it, I'm like, that's great, and then I forget it the next time I want to use it, is literally setting the expectation bar like super, super, super low. For example, making music or just playing around with beats. It's like I like experimenting with music production, I like just playing around with it, but in my head, I have this expectation of having to produce a whole song as a result of experimenting. Like my brain, it doesn't feel okay with just like you go on BandLab, which is the app I use to make music. You go on BandLab and just play around with your MIDI keyboard, and there's no rules. It's hard for me to do this. My brain's like, you go on BandLab, you start making a melody, you start making a bass line, and then you put together a song. So something I try to do, which is still hard. The thing is just one example though. Is like something super like achievable. Like you literally go on your laptop and open BandLab. That's my goal. That's my goal. I turn on my laptop and I open BandLab. That's my goal. And what I find usually happens from there is that I end up wanting to do things anyway, like even play around with music. So usually when I have that expectation of like making a song, or even like you have to like, you know, you have to play around with beats, even that expectation sometimes, like just setting the bar super low. Like you literally go on your laptop and open BandLab, and that's your goal. And then from there, I end up like just playing around with music anyway. But then the thing that helps me get started is setting my expectations super low. It's like you go on a laptop, you open BandLab. That's it. That's what you need to do. That's the goal. If you do that, you achieve. And it sort of tricks my mind. I trick my mind in a way because, yeah, I end up doing it anyway. It's like, okay, I already got started. You know, I'm already here. I might as well just like play around with music since I'm already here and have it open. That's how I trick my brain. Another example is like, what is another example? Boxing, workout. It's like, it's something I want to be doing every day, but then it's hard for me to keep the momentum of training every day, like doing like workout every day. So something I could do, which I might actually implement, is setting my expectation bar super low. You do 5 minutes of exercise every day. It's like the goal is you work out for 5 minutes minimum. And from me knowing myself, once I start working out, and then 5 minutes will go by like this, and I'll be like, oh, I actually want to do more. And then I leverage that and I keep going. So what I'm trying to say is like, sometimes the expectation of doing something. Sorry, I got a phone call in the middle of filming. That's why my video just abruptly, like my train of thought just abruptly ended. Yes, what I'm trying to say is sometimes the expectation of having to do a certain thing and just putting too much pressure on myself to have to do that deters me from starting in the first place. Therefore, seriously lowering my expectation, literally the most bare bone step, like there's a step, right? Like for example, playing around with music, but there's a series of tinier, smaller steps that get up to that step. So firstly, I have to like get on a device. Usually I use my laptop. Then I have to open the app. So that's like bare bone steps that I need to get to actually start playing around with music. Because if I don't, my device isn't on, and if the app isn't open, I can't exactly do that. So that could be with anything. So literally, a tip is to break it down literally to the bare bones of things. Like, for example, all right, an example. Say I wanted to go for a walk every day. That's my goal. Like walk around, go for like a 15-minute walk every day, for example. Go for a walk outside, that is. So breaking that down, before I go outside, before I go on the walk, I have to like get ready, get dressed, and then, you know, go outside, put on my shoes, and then I start walking, like decide a route or where I'm gonna go, or I can just wander around my neighborhood, and then the walk actually happens. So the tiny steps before I go on the actual walk is to like get dressed, maybe get a water bottle, have a route in mind maybe, and then actually go put on my shoes and then go. So that's what I mean by bare bones. Break it down to like literally bare bone steps that you need to actions that need to be done in order to get to the actual, like to start doing the actual goal or activity itself. Yeah, so for example, if one day I can't, you know, I don't want to go for the actual walk, but I get up to, I don't know, the going outside and putting on my shoes thing. For example, if I had really bad anxiety and then I want to learn how to go walk around my neighborhood, but I have too much anxiety, then I get to the putting on my shoes stage, but then I take it off and go back in. That still counts. That still counts because it's momentum. Went from not doing it, like not taking any tiny step at all or any steps at all, to putting on shoes but going back in. That still counts. That's still momentum. Still made progress. Like went from not doing that to putting on shoes still. It's still progress in the ultimate goal of going for walks around the block or around the neighborhood. It still counts. It still counts. And that's where momentum comes in. And that's where leveraging momentum comes in. So momentum. From there, for example, I'm gonna go with the walking example still because I'm just gonna run with it. It's still momentum. For example, if we can't go for the walk itself, but we do the putting our shoes thing, maybe walking out into our front yard, like to the front of the driveway, for example, as the next goal, it still counts. And if we do that consistently, even though we might not actually be able to like go and go for a walk, like start the actual walking itself, it's still building momentum because we've gone from having the idea of I want to go for a walk every day as exercise to actually actioning things to make that happen, even though the walk hasn't happened itself yet, if that makes sense. So we went from staying in our house with the idea to putting our shoes. And if we do the putting our shoes every day, even though we might not actually go for the walk, it's still momentum because it's still action. It's still action. Action still being taken. A new baseline is being laid. A new baseline foundation is being built. It challenges the subconscious thought of this is impossible. This is too hard for me. I want to build this habit, but I can't. It still lays the foundation because through the act of putting on shoes every day, even though we might not actually go for the walk, it is building a habit. It's breaking out the old and still building a new. It's still building a new. Therefore, it still counts. It's still important. And it makes things in future easier because we're still building a habit. We're still building a new routine. And then once that might become our new normal, that we can start incorporating that. Some days putting on shoes, or some days just actually going for the walk, or start going for a walk, for example. It's still momentum. It still counts. Another example is learning something new. So when I started drumming, these drumsticks I love because my friend custom made them for me for my birthday. These are the trans flag cards. This is basically a trans flag on the drumsticks. And I changed my drumsticks because the old pair I've been using for like 2 years and I completely butchered them. These are new pair. When I started drumming, I couldn't even hold this properly, as in this drumstick was so heavy for my wrists and my wrist hurt when I was trying to, actually when I started, okay, let me just backtrack. First, I bought drumsticks, but I didn't have a kit or a practice pad, so I was just like hitting boxes. I was hitting boxes, but when I was hitting boxes, it was still, my wrist hurt a lot because these things were heavy, and I don't use my wrist in this way. It was still really heavy, and everything hurt basically, and I had no stamina whatsoever. And I did not know how to use the drumsticks. I didn't know how to control the drumsticks. And when I did get a practice pad and my first my electronic drum kit, my drumming was awful. And I felt really frustrated that my drumming was so awful and I couldn't control the sticks. And the other problem I had was the sticks kept dropping out of my hand when I tried to drum, because at the time I didn't really practice using these 3 fingers to control the sticks, like to help with the bounce and the rebound. I just used my wrist like this, but then I didn't use my fingers like this. and I didn't know. And then once I started learning how to do this, it was awkward and I had no control over it. Everything was bad. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that I sucked at drumming when I started. I had no idea what I was doing. I did everything awfully and I kept feeling frustrated. And the weird way I improved was to accept that I sucked at drumming and basically kept going despite being awful still. It's like I'm like, why am I not getting better? And I kept doing this. I'm like, why am I not getting better? And that's because I expected results within an unreasonable time period. It's like I only started out and I was still my muscle memory was not used to holding the sticks. My muscle memory is not used to doing this with the sticks, and my foot control was awful, and I didn't know how to use the kick and the hi-hat properly because it was all new to me. It was all new to my brain. It was all new to my muscles and my muscle memory and my nerves. And they're like, "What the hell are you doing, Liv?" And I just kept going, really. I just kept going. I kept drumming even though I did it awfully. I did it awfully, and then as time went on, like I did it awfully because I didn't know how to do it properly. But in doing it awfully, my brain started learning how to control the sticks properly and everything else that's associated with drumming. I started being stamina. Now I use the kick drums. I don't get cramps. When I started drumming and I used the kick drum, my legs cramped. My quads, is it quads? My calves. My calves cramped up really, really quickly because I had no stamina. And I just kept going, and then I kept using the momentum of I'm awful, but I'm gonna keep going anyway. And then I started noticing progress over time. And now my current level, just looking back at when I started, I'm like, I don't know how that happened, but I don't know how that happened besides just being bad and just using that as my baseline and just continuing to go. And just on the example of drumming, I'm just gonna hold my sticks now because I don't know, they comfort me. I looked at drummers online, like the really good drummers, like the pro drummers, and then I felt so inferior to them because like I was so slow and awful, and then I was so focused and tunnel vision on I need to get speed. I need to get speed with drumming. I need to know how to do like and then that's why I fell short because I wasn't focused on learning the technique properly and realizing that those professional drummers also started out where I did. Like they were in the exact same boat as me at one point in their lives. They started where I am. They also had no idea what the hell they were doing. They were also awful at drumming. And it's like years and years and years. Some of them were like been drumming for like over 10 years. They also sucked at drumming. Therefore, they also sucked at drumming, and then they improved over time at their own pace, and that's how they're that good now. And I was like comparing my noob ass to a 10-year professional drummer who I did not see their growth and work and their struggles behind the scenes, but that's what happens subconsciously. It's like I look at them, what I see on screen, and then I look at my own life and my drumming abilities being like, God damn it, I'm so bad. Like, like it's a trap I fall into. But now I'm trying to drill into my head that all the drummers out there, all the professional drummers out there started where I started. They were in my shoes at one point in time. And they didn't come out of the womb knowing how to drum like a professional drummer. They put in a lot of hard work. They practiced a lot. They started slow. They didn't start drumming like bang, 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 bang. No one starts drumming like that. But I expected myself to start drumming like that. And that's also a reason why I felt really discouraged from continuing. I mean, my drumming was really on and off. I've been drumming more consistently, like end of last year and this year, but then in like 2021, my drumming was really inconsistent. Like I played for like a few weeks or a few months, and then I completely dropped it for like a few months or even like half the year. And then when I felt like it, I went back on the drumming bandwagon. I was really inconsistent. But now I have been a lot more consistent with it recently. But back to the comparison, yeah, made me feel really inferior, very discouraged, and it's not helpful. It's not helpful. And something I again want to do on my brain is I have my own timeline. It's okay to go up my own timeline. I started at a different age as these drummers. Drumming is not my professional career. I don't put hours and hours and hours into it every day. It's like, yeah. And the other thing is to be mindful of its intentions. Like when I'm doing this, it's a fun thing. It's a hobby thing. I'm learning as a hobby and it's fun. I'm not learning with the intention of becoming a professional drummer. I'm not learning with the intention of becoming a drumming teacher or anything like that. It's just a side thing that I'm doing for fun. And yeah. It's like me and the professional drummers also have different goals. So that's why comparing is also not great. Comparing to them is not great in general because I started at a different pace. My goals are different and my skill level is different from them, and I ideally should not be doing the whole I'm inferior thing because I can't drum at their level. I don't know. I lost myself at how that related to the video. I think it was about momentum and consistency and setting realistic expectations to make doing things more achievable. I think I'm gonna wrap up the video because after a summary, because I don't know what else to add to this video. So in summary, building momentum is important, and it's ideal to leverage momentum to continue to take action. And remember that taking action, whether it's in breaking down steps or the actual end goal itself, all counts and it all leads to building momentum. And it can be helpful to break down the bigger goal into tiny actionable steps, like the bare bones of what needs to be done, like even physically needs to be done to achieve the goal. Like if we really want to like get extremely bare bones, like could be writing stuff down, like, you know, stand up, walk to the room. For example, it's a quick example, back to my music one. If I was to go like ultra bare bones and I was just stuck on the couch and really feeling demotivated, the literal very bare bones would be standing up from this couch, walking to my room, plugging in my laptop, turning on the power, and then turning on my mouse and then opening the app. Like we can get as bare bones as we want because it might help. Instead of jumping from just A to B, it could be, A to Z, like A to Z being make music and A being me sitting on this couch. It doesn't have to be straight from A to Z. We can break it down to A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. As many letters and steps as we need to help. And there's no shame in that. There's no shame in that. There's no shame in that. Breaking it down, and then even if we don't reach the end goal or be able to do the end thing that we want to do, steps in between, like the steps in between the bridge, like starting points here, what we want to do is here, we can end up anywhere along this bridge. Pretend this is two platforms, there's a bridge here. We can be anywhere along this bridge. And it's okay to sometimes backtrack too. Backtracking is not a bad thing either. So if we end up, say, if we only start here and we end up here and then we go back here and we end up here, that's still momentum. Even if we don't do from here all the way over here, here to 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 anywhere, it's still progress. And I'm just pretending it's a magic wand now. It's still progress, even if we don't do here to here. Here to anywhere is still progress. It still builds momentum. Because if we're here and none of this happens, then there's no progress. Even here to here is progress. Because again, it's not just here. Here to here is still progress. Remember that. And thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.